You are listening to the Glimmer Gang podcast. We are a podcast dedicated to the competitive side of Disney Lorcana. This podcast was recorded live, so make sure you check out our Twitch at Glimmer Gang Pod to not miss those. Enjoy! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GenCon Palooza stream. For those who are watching live, we are so sorry, but a bit of technical difficulties. It's usual for the Glimmer Gang, so we pushed past it, but we have a bunch of great creators here to talk today. And I just want to get right in, let everyone introduce themselves. So, Brandon, since you're in the top left up here, why don't you introduce yourself and your channel and who you are?
What's up, everyone? My name is Brandon. I also go as B Squared. I just run a YouTube channel covering all things Lorcana. And that's pretty much it. Just here to hang with some friends and have a good time.
Awesome. We're glad to have you here, and we're now going to kick it over to Jonti. How are you doing today, my fellow, or not fellow, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. My name is Jonti. I'm the artist formerly known as the Illumiteers. You can find me at, what's it called? The Inkwell.
I thought you were going to say Threads.
Threads.
Oh, and I'm hanging out on Threads, like with all the cool kids. Yeah.
You're not hanging out on X?
Don't do that.
No, I don't talk to my ex.
Ooh.
I also want to kick it over to our friends Liam and Aaron. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. Doing well. Excited to be here.
Awesome.
We are,
Figure out who's actually going to do the intro.
That's true. We should work this out ahead of time.
You go this
All right, I'm Liam. This is Aaron. We're married content creators covering all things Lorcana, but we've focused specifically on the art and design of the game, artist interviews, etc. So I'm excited to be here.
And we're also known as the Illumiteers.
Awesome. And then Sugi and Chris, who are you guys? Where do you guys hail from? What is your content creation platform and name?
Okay, so my name is Sugi. This is Chris Bates, the man of the day, and we play Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card games. We're here to talk about all kinds of strategies and techs, or trap cards. Yeah, trap. You've activated our trap. No, we're with the Lorcanacast team, so you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and we talk all about content for both the casual and the competitive player. So anyone who's playing the game can use us as a centralized hub for information and just having an all-around good time talking about this really exciting game.
Awesome. Well, has something been going on this week? Like, has there been news this week? Anyone hear any news? No news.
For me.
I've heard Pokemon's been doing pretty well.
Yeah, 151's coming out. Very cool.
Yeah.
I saw a deer yesterday.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
Did you do anything about that?
I told you lot. Just
Okay.
There you go.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Deer chew is really good.
I got my. Well, if you want like my boonies story for the day, there's a bunch of geckos, right, that just like live all over my house.
Oh.
And one of them, like a little baby gecko, got caught in a spider web. I thought it was dead, so I didn't bother with it, and it's been sitting there for 3 days.
Oh no.
I walked by it today. The thing moves.
Poor guy.
I'm like, you've been hanging in a spider web for 3 days in the crazy Louisiana heat. How are you alive?
Tell me you just walk past Pascal. Is that what happened?
Right.
Sounds
Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't walk past Brandon?
And you're bothering him.
So,
Did you just like not take a stroll down the street and Brandon was laying there in the Louisiana heat?
A little further north.
A little further north. Well, obviously it's Lorcana week. We all are getting so much. I'm still processing, and it's Wednesday. We have 3 more days left of news to come. And I think the biggest thing that has come out of this is we have the full set. We're going to talk about the app a little later and what's come from that, but we have the full set. We have all of the cards. And some of us were lucky enough to get some card reveals throw up on our channel. So we're going to run through some cards that have come out this week. We each picked 2 that we wanted to highlight. And we're going to start with Brandon and his cards. So on screen now for everyone that is watching, Brandon got Captain Hook, Ruthless Pirate, and Cut to the Chase. Captain Hook is a 5/5 2 for 7. He has Rush, he is uninkable, and he has You Coward. While this character is exerted, opposing characters with Evasive gain Reckless. And then Cut to the Chase is a 2-cost inkable card, and just chosen character gains Reckless during this turn. Rush. Whoa.
Rush. The other.
I looked away at the last second. So Brendan,
Mistakes have been made.
it's the story of my life. So Brandon, obviously you got these cards to reveal on your channel. If everyone hasn't seen the video, go check it out. B224 on YouTube. Great video. I'm gonna ask all of the.
Teddy, I'm hearing that you're a lot louder than the rest of us.
Okay.
So one of the viewers said.
Okay. Hoping I might just be. I think I'm shouting, but I realize I have a mic, so I don't.
The
Even...
boys
Just
excited.
speak
for
louder.
I'm
We can't hear
I'm
you.
so excited.
Kids these days.
Get louder, eh? You got a problem.
So Brandon, how was it getting these cards, and then what do you think about these cards as a competitive standpoint?
Thanks.
I mean, I was pretty floored to get the cards, to be honest with you. It was kind of a silly event. Team Lorcana was hanging out in the Discord, and for some reason they were really, really adamant that Jonti approve a card before it got revealed. And of course everybody's going crazy. Jonti's not answering his phone, and who knows what he's doing. And so I come up with
like
this...
that. Doesn't do anything untoward.
And so I came up with this genius plan of changing my Discord name in the server to Jonti, and I start tagging Team Lorcana, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love a card reveal. And so I didn't know this at the time, but the card was the Vicious Betrayal card, the one where Scar is like throwing Mufasa off of the cliff. And so Rochelle thought that was hysterical that like I did that, like went behind his back and stole his card or whatever.
You threw me
So
off
she
the
was
cliff.
Yeah, so she was like, this is perfect. So gave me that card, and then when she did that, she was very, very kind and asked if I wanted to partake in a card reveal. You know, I told her, I'll have to think about it. I mean, no, I was like, yeah, yes, please, absolutely. I was like, what are you kidding? And so, yeah, she was awesome. Gave me Captain Hook and gave me Cut to the Chase. I'll go over the cards in the video. Honestly, so Captain Hook is a bit of a kind of like a silver bullet. Like he's specifically to target evasive characters for his stats. I don't think he's really worth the 7 ink and uninkable, especially with all the other great uninkable cards that we have in the game. But if like evasives get popular, I mean, certainly a good enough thing to throw into your deck. The one thing I wanted to highlight, we didn't have the Ruby Peter Pan card when I made the video. That got released with the app. But in my video, you'll hear me talk about the flavor of the Captain Hook Ruthless Pirate card. And of course, when I figured out I was getting this card, I was like, okay, I got to go back to watch Peter Pan. I got to see like what flavor I can pull from this, do a little research. And so Captain Hook's ability is called You Coward. And then his flavor text is you wouldn't dare fight old Hook man to man, which is like the exact quote from the movie. He calls Peter Pan, he yells You Coward at Peter Pan and then quotes that. And then on the Ruby Peter Pan card, his flavor text is nobody calls Pan a coward and lives. I'll fight you man to man with one hand behind my back. That's exactly what happens in the movie. And the Peter Pan in Ruby doesn't have evasive, but I thought it was fun that the Peter Pan and Emerald had evasive.
Awesome.
It was just like it was like reliving a scene from the movie. Like,
yeah, for sure.
On the table.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. And then I actually really liked the Cut to the Chase card. I don't know why. I just really like this angle of Mickey, like seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he's going after somebody, like he's on the attack. And
Is it Flounder? I think it was Flounder. Definitely.
yeah, I think I saw Jared's tweet. It looked like
He's a
Flounder
wizard with
shadow in
those.
there.
So
He
quick.
really is. But I love this card mainly because I mean Ruby's my favorite ink in Lorcana, and a lot of Ruby is about challenging and banishing things, and to be able to like throw Mulan out there and then surprise them like by giving him rush or anything or something like that, and kind of catching the opponent off guard or on the back foot is really exciting to me. So a card like Cut to the Chase, it's not the best card in Ruby by any means, but I think you can absolutely tech it a couple places, and I absolutely have plans of like trying it in a couple of my decks and see if I can pull out some wins with it for sure.
Awesome. Well, we want to throw it over to Jonti now. He also got 2 cards to reveal. They're on screen now for those watching. It is Ursula's Cauldron, which is a 2-cost uninkable card, and it is peer into the depths. You exert it and look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one on the top of your deck and the other on the bottom. And then as his little not red herring, but what's the word? I can't think of words.
Words are hard.
Words are very hard. He threw us through a loop with his little image he threw up on the thumbnail. But Sudden Chill is a 2-cost. We thought it was all going to be a frozen card. But Sudden Chill is a 2-cost inkable card, and each opponent chooses and discards a card. It is a song. Any character with 2 or more can exert to play this card. But Jonti, same question as I had for Brandon. How was it getting these 2 cards to reveal and talk about?
It was awesome. First of all, I will not play it cool like Brandon. I begged Team Lorcana. Begged. Never underestimate the power of a grown man crying. I will say words are hard, and also cards are hard. One of those wasn't one I revealed actually.
Was it not?
Ursula's Cauldron was revealed by Hobbies and Happiness. Dan and Jim did that one. I had Sudden Chill, and then also the Ruby LeFou.
Right, that's my bad. That is all my bad, brother.
It's not a problem. We can still talk about the Cauldron, or we can talk about LeFou.
You go
or
ahead.
Whatever, really, it's fine. Sudden Chill, I love the art. So I will say I don't think either of the cards that I got to reveal were particularly impactful. The reason I love them is because Team Lorcana basically asked me what would you like to reveal, and I said I would like the other Gaston, please. And she was like, no, there isn't one. But I said I love Emerald. I love what Emerald is doing with the game. I love how it's all about sort of disruption and making your opponent playing sort of on the offensive and having to play responsively, which I'm a big fan of. Anytime that you can make your opponent have to use brain power on something that isn't their game plan is a very powerful tool in trading card games, I think. And Sudden Chill, whilst it isn't the strongest card in Emerald that does that, it definitely sort of summarizes a good chunk of Emerald's game plan, which is just slowing the game down as slowing the game down for your opponent. As Dan from Hobbies and Happiness puts it so well, fun is a zero-sum game, and I'm having all of it. Yeah, discarding, just hand destruction, having the boards adjust with things like what's the Mad Hatter, just value for having your opponent have to deal with your stuff. It's really, really strong, I think. And then LeFou of Instigator was the other one I actually got to reveal. A 2-costed 2/2 for 1, and he's fan the flames on a stick, basically. And the other reason was when Team Lorcana approached me, I said I'm a big fan of Emerald, and then as far as lore, theme goes, anything from the Renaissance. I'm a Renaissance kid, so anything from the Renaissance is good for me. So I got to reveal something from Beauty and the Beast, which is still to this day one of my favorite movies. So that was awesome as well. As far as his ability goes, Fan the Flames already was seeing play. It's already a pretty solid Jeeper card. Having that on a body that then sticks around is just extra value. I still am not. I'm too smooth-brained to really know the potential of the Ruby readying package. I other than the big ones such as Heroic Outlaw or Mulan. I know for a fact that people more intelligent than me are going to build really spicy decks around just constantly exerting and readying your. Look at me getting the terminology spot on, by the way, I will say. Thank you. Exerting and readying everything like that. Can I just. The other thing I want to say before we move on, Brandon was saying about how great some of the cards working together thematically are, like you were just saying about Captain Hook and Peter Pan sharing the quotes. My favorite one I've noticed, and it's such a small one, and it's maybe so small that it might even just be coincidental. If you look at the full set, the very last card in Emerald is Stolen Scimitar, the item. The very next card is Abu, who steals the scimitar in the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was meant to be or what. Like, the fact that they both sit next to each other in the list is just like, it just seems a little too juicy to be an accident.
So before we move on, I have a question for the group talking about the like untapped stuff. So with Captain Hook, the ruthless pirate, it says while this character is exerted, opposing characters with evasive gain reckless. And Fan the Flame says when you play this character, ready chosen character. So if you play LeFou and ready Captain Hook, do you think that evasive characters lose reckless because he's no longer exerted?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, the word while's doing a lot there, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
We're
I-
all
I
getting
just
so much
wanna
better at
say-
words.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I just want to comment on how much Jonti undersold these cards. He's like, they're not good cards. Don't worry about them.
So,
and then we watched the video. I'm like, these cards are hype.
So, I will say this. They're both in their own decks. They are both very playable. I also love the fact that Sudden Chill gets better in multiplayer. I'm a big multiplayer player myself, and this is just stonks in multiplayer. The only reason I was saying like calm yourselves down is because the chat on the live video, they were just being like, "Oh my, it's gonna be Buzz Lightyear full art!" Like, and I was like, "Let's all just sort of remember where we are. Let's just remember that this is a YouTuber with just around 1,000 subscribers." Right, like they're not gonna give me the bomb of the set to reveal. They're just gonna be, like I say, they were really thematic cards, really really awesome cards. I'm 100% gonna get a foil one of each of them and probably frame them as just something I can say, like this was my little sort of step in the history of the game, And yeah, it was super exciting. I'm incredibly grateful. They are both solid cards. They're just not a full art foil Buzz Lightyear, which is what everyone for some reason thought we were gonna get.
Well, yeah. So obviously, sorry about that, Jonti, but with the card. But we're gonna move on to Liam and Aaron. I'm gonna open it up to you guys if you guys do want to read your cards. If you guys have those pulled up.
Oh, I can have mine pulled up.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I mean, so we had two cards. One of them that I'll talk about more is a Floodborn Jasmine, Queen of Agrabah, 5 ink and sapphire. She shifts for 3, 2/5 stat line, and she has Caretaker. When you play this character or whenever she quests, you may remove up to 2 damage counters from each of your characters, up to 2 in case you only want to remove 1. And she quests for 2 lore.
Oh yeah, each. Liam, you
No,
forgot.
she's no,
I know.
no, she's-
Each.
no. I'm just saying each is the crazy part. I think he said it right, but
No, that's the
Right,
end.
including-
that's the bananas part to
herself.
me.
Right? She doesn't say other characters. You can
Yeah.
yourself as well.
There's so many great words in that. Like that play your character
So
and
many great words.
play this character and whenever they quest. That's very strong. Like we didn't see that until the full reveal or the last sort of week, and we've seen it on 2 or 3 cards now. Very powerful addendum that I think.
Well, I mean, she is a
The crazy thing. Yeah,
You
the crazy thing is like if you shift onto her and quest that same turn, you just healed for 4 for everything.
Yeah.
Like, Hakuna Matata who?
Yeah.
Our second card we got was Work Together, which is chosen character gains support this turn. Whenever they quest, you can add another chosen to another chosen's character. Oh my gosh, I am not doing well with words this week.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Ask me. Ask me. I don't do well with words anytime.
Yeah.
We, we'd love to talk about these, but before we do, just have to say, echo Jonti and Brandon. Like this was probably one of the highlights of our creation career. It was such a rush. It felt like the culmination of a year's worth of work because we've been doing Lorcana since not at the same time as Jonti, but shortly after. And
days between it, right?
True.
Like it
Enough
wasn't.
that
Yeah.
we copied
I watched
your name.
Jonti's first video as we were walking into filming our first.
That's
video.
true. But yeah, it just felt like the culmination of a year's worth of work, and it was great. We did not have any influence on what cards we got. We just got them. But I have to imagine Work Together was on purpose and carefully selected for us. And then we also, we've done a lot with the Floodborne and then theme too. So I like to think that Jasmine was especially picked for us as well. It was just wonderful. And gosh, what a rush.
Yeah. Liam coming home asking if I had anything to do on Sunday night I was like, no.
Not anymore.
The only thing I will say, and I'm sure the others can agree, very difficult, long weekend, wasn't it?
Yes.
Not being able to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very long weekend, yeah.
I wanted to like slip something so many times and just
Oh,
had to bite my tongue.
I definitely slipped stuff, but a couple like you just like little bits and then caught myself. But the amount of times that like somebody would say something, how like I genuinely, one person was like had sent something like, "Oh, we still haven't seen any forced discard though." And I was
You're like,
literally
"Oh."
like, oh no,
Yeah.
like the worst timing for it. The other thing I will say as well, that I think they picked what we got very well, actually. Like I say, I did kind of, she asked me for suggestions and those are what I gave her. Brandon getting Ruby, like he's a big Ruby player. You guys getting gorgeous art and like you say, Floodborne and stuff as well. And then if the Hobbies and Happiness guys, not only got 2 villainous cards, and if you don't know, their channel was built on villainous. They're big villainous players and played the game a lot. So not only did they get 2 items from villains, they were also both uninkable, which I think was a really nice touch because Jim hates uninkable cards and will happily tell everybody how much he hates them.
Great.
And like again, it's subtle enough that it might just be a nice coincidence, but part of me thinks I can just imagine Rochelle kind of sat there just,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
enjoying her
absolutely
job.
can.
I love that none of us
Rochelle is
knew.
amazing.
None of us knew who the others were. Like we kind
Yeah.
of, based on the way Rochelle talked to us, we were like, okay, they're going, because she's like, I'm going to review all of the videos on Monday, and we're like, okay, so there are multiple, and so it was like all weekend. Liam's like, I think it's this person. I think it's this person. I think it's
there was definitely a bit of like, well, I don't know anything. Do you know anything? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
If you know something, that's fine. But I
It's
don't
like
know
that
something.
one
If
friend
I-
scene,
if
like,
I
do you
did
know what I
something,
know?
I don't know if you knew something.
Yeah.
It's
Funny
this.
too that
And then
Yeah.
I'll happily throw him under the bus because he's not here. Dan just said, like, have you got a card?
That's very Dan. That's very blunt and to the point.
What is funny though, like the releases were staggered very well. None of us
Yeah.
knew what we were doing. Like we all
No.
took cues from each other and like watched, and then
none
we're
of
like,
us knew who each other
uh-huh.
were
Yeah,
at the
we're like,
time. We
all right, I
Yeah.
think we'll go here, and it worked. It worked really well.
Yeah.
to the point-
I love how they kind of like Dan's one and your one kind of bookended the day, and then me and Brandon sort of got in the middle. But again, nothing. And we totally forgetting on unplayable got to as well,
They
right?
just slipped in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like out of
Under the
nowhere,
radar.
they came out. And again, I think Rochelle knocked it out of the park thematically there because she gave them 2 unplayable cards.
Oof. That.
Wow.
Oh.
Send your hate mail to Jonti at Inkwell.
Shots fired.
Wow. We love you, Unplayable. Don't let Jonti fool you. We all love you.
You can throw
Oh
hands
no,
at
they're
GenCon.
great
We'll all be
guys.
there.
They managed to make a 15-minute video saying really nice stuff about 2 very, very mid cards. They did an awesome job.
Well, now we obviously Brandon, Jonti, and Liam and Aaron were the 3 math. Another something I can't do. We're the three channels in here that got cards to reveal. But the rest of us also choose 2 cards, and Chris gave me his 2 cards, and his 2 cards were Tangle and Steal from the Rich. So, Chris, do you want to talk about these and why you chose these to talk about?
Yeah, so I like control a lot, and these 2 cards jump out as 2 fairly decent control cards we're going to have for the game. So Tangle is a Ruby card, 2 cost action. It says each opponent loses 1 lore. And then Steal from the Rich is and then Tangle was inkable. Steal from the Rich is uninkable. Emerald, 5 cost action. Whenever one of your characters quests this turn, each opponent loses 1 lore. So both cards related to losing lore. Obviously, it's also is it legendary? Is that right? That's
Rare.
Rare.
Is yellow legendary or rare? Rare. Okay.
Rare. Triangle's rare.
Triangle's rare.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's Steal from Rich is rare. Definitely, very super powerful effect on that one. If you get set up a huge board turn where you could just, I don't know. I haven't played the game yet. I've been trying to play. I've been trying to wait to GenCon to play the game, but I can imagine that you can set up a turn where you can make a big lore swing if you have the characters out to quest that turn, right? So again, just 2 control cards I think would be really fun to play around with if the colors work together, and controlling that lore.
Don't worry. They do, don't worry.
They do. Both get much better in multiplayer as well.
Yeah,
Like,
they scale so well in multiplayer. For
each
real.
opponent is just spicy.
I mean, you might be the target. You might be the target then, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there is a Ruby Emerald. There is a Ruby Emerald deck that just has all of that lore stealing stuff in it. That is you're basically like Kingmaker. It's just going to be everyone piling into you.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think Steal from the Rich is a really great card you've picked there, and then you also picked another card. I'm not a huge fan of it.
I can see again. It's inkable, right? It's inkable. It's 2 costs. So I think
At least it's not Magic Mirror, right?
Yeah, right.
The mirror.
Why
The
did anyone
mirror.
pick Magic Mirror? Come on.
I know.
We know the answer to that question. Don't ask why we know.
I know why you picked Tangled. It's because we finally got an Ariwelly illustrated card that wasn't Lantern or Dinglehopper.
That's exactly why. You're right.
The deep cuts from North.
I love the fact that I love the idea of them drawing those in the order that they were revealed to us. Because I've said this before. Great art. Like there's very few bits of art in this set that I don't enjoy. Great art, but I love the idea of them getting the email and being like, oh my god, they want me to do some art for Disney. That like I'm going to be a Disney artist, and then they get the brief and it just says a fork. Like, I just love the idea of them going, oh, okay. So yes, it's great that eventually they got to do a really dynamic piece. The Tangled art is incredible. It's really good.
It is. It's nice.
I just think as a single card in a 1v1 game, I don't think it's impactful enough. But it telegraphs there is a deck built around that sort of stuff. I think that's probably quite offensive.
Oh yeah.
Right.
For sure.
That's what I got. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're going to move over to Sugi, the other member of Lorcanacast we have here. Now, Sugi, you were very adamant about these 2 cards when I asked us all to choose. So,
Yeah.
what do you love about John Silver and Flynn Rider?
Well, so John Silver is a combination of really impactful abilities, great stats, and a preview of the future. He's the only Treasure Planet character, and he's at a legendary rare, so he's kind of sitting on top of the heap, and it's pretty cool. Like, this is a character you love or you hate. He's in a really cool pose. Like, artistically, it's gorgeous. Can't wait for the full art foil. With his stat line and massive amounts of keywords, like his characteristics are going to be triggered by something in set 2 and 3. His lore is great. His ability is really, really disgusting. So when you play this character and whenever he quests, again, this is a very rare combination of when you ETB and when you quest, do a thing. Chosen opposing character gains Reckless. And although some people aren't super hot on that, it is still lore denial. So you can turn off the bell that could quest for 5, or if you have an item that gives her +1 lore, you could turn off the bell that quests for 6, and she doesn't punch very hard. You can turn off that 1/6 Moana, you can turn off that 3/6 Maleficent, etc., etc. You can get a lot of value out of him. His stat line as a 5/5 is good, not great, but still very, very potent. And then you can ink him if you see him early game. Like, he's just got all of the things you could possibly want in a card. If you don't need him, turn him into a resource. If you do need him, make your opponent pay for it. And then Flynn Rider is probably, I'm gonna say right now, he's probably gonna be the ultimate annoyance early game card, because you play him on turn 2, you quest with him on turn 3, or you can sing songs like Be Our Guest. You can do whatever you want with him. And your opponent has to either get rid of him with hard removal, with cannons, or smash. And if they're not playing steel, they're gonna eat a big fat one, because his stat line is trash. A 1/2, like, you don't care about that. You care about his 2 lore and the fact that he has you have to pay a tax to touch him. So if he's challenged, the opponent has to ditch a card. They get to pick the card, but who cares? You're getting a card out of their hand and you're getting 2 lore.
Yeah, card economy is so important in this game already.
You're getting the 2 most valuable resources in the game, lore and cards, for 2 ink. I mean, there's no point in the game I don't want to see this. Actually, I kind of want to see him late game too, because if you slap him down and your opponent's sitting on 1 or 2 cards, they're not going to attack him. Or if they do, they're going to have to ditch those really valuable tools they need. So seeing Flynn Rider early game is great. Mid game, great. Late game, oppressive. And if you're not playing Amethyst or Steel with card draw, you're a giant jerk. Like, you're just gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna play 2 Flynn Riders on turn 4, and then on turn 5 I'm gonna quest with both of them. Do you have 2 cards to pitch to? Oh, you don't. What? Really? So like, he has weird built-in protection from. He's just such an awkward character for the opponent to deal with. For you, it's like 2 ink for 2 lore, and you have to do something to stop me. Nice, like, nice, super good.
Can I just say I love Liam's faces right now? Like Liam's faces has just been amazing. I've just been
trying to smolder.
He's trying to smolder in honor of.
Oh, is that what that was? I thought you needed to poop.
Then he got it. Then he got it right. Because
I'm gonna get paired up with
burrito. That'll help.
I'm gonna get paired up with Liam during our starter deck challenge, and he's just gonna be doing that to me the entire time I'm taking my turn.
I would concede.
It's really unnerving. Will you stop?
Go on. This might be a
look at something else.
This might be a rules question that we don't know yet. If an opponent doesn't have a card to discard, can they not challenge into Flynn?
Oh.
So it doesn't say they have to. It says whenever this character is challenged, the challenging player chooses and discard. Oh, yeah. They have to choose. Yeah, I think they can't based on wording. If they don't have a card, they can't do anything.
Like I feel like it could go either way. Honestly,
it could definitely go either way. I've seen games handle it both ways, so we don't know if we'll get the comprehensive rule.
I would wager Lorcana intends for you to pick a card. If there's no card to pick, you cannot legally fulfill the cost to pay because this is a cost effect.
Flesh and Blood is Flesh and Blood is the same way. Flesh and Blood, you can if the card is worded the same way, you have 0 cards in hand, you can still do it.
Yeah, so I think it could go either way and be correct. Yeah. So, but if it is that you can't, if you've got no cards in hand, he gets even better later game then, right? Because let's be honest,
Hobbies and Happiness in chat says they can challenge, and I'm curious what that rule is predicated on.
Yeah, says
how do you know this, there, Dan? What's your back?
Yeah, what's your...
Yeah. So I'll throw out my thoughts, and it's Flynn Rider's effect triggers after you've already declared and are inside of the challenge, so there's no backing out at that point. Like I wrote down a whole like challenging timeline earlier today because like there was a whole bunch of discussions on stuff like this.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
True.
Regardless, if they're out of cards, I'm totally fine with that. Like no cards, no tools.
Right. Not enough. Like,
yeah. You're top decking at this point. I'll take it.
At the very least, it's a 2 lore for 2 cost card.
Like, it's worse than that because whatever they challenge you with, they're not questing. So it's on average a 3-point swing. 2 for you, 1 they're not getting, and a card. Ooh, nasty.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I do think out of all the colors, we like because we're gonna, like I say, we're making up decks and we're playing this and we're playing like and we can put 12 different legendaries, 3 play sets of 4 legendaries or whatever, and I wonder if actually when it comes down to it, brass tacks, like in brick and mortar stores, I feel like decks that rely on these uncommons like Flynn Rider, Jasper, Cheshire Cat, Mad Hatter, all uncommon, and just build a really offensive package, and I do actually wonder whether that's going to be the stuff that actually starts to define metas when it comes to actually people with real cards on a table,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
interested
to see with especially like we don't know. I mean, allocation isn't great, but like we don't know how available or how expensive singles are going to be. I'm very interested to see how quickly the community as a whole comes up with some sort of is it Pauper in Magic? Is that the one that
commons only.
Yeah, something similar to that, or like
Pauper and Peasant.
Yeah, like cheaper versions of decks,
Yeah.
just because that's the most accessible thing at the time. I think
So
it'd be interesting.
pauper is lower rarity and peasant is actual lower cost, right? Like as in like purchasing cost, is it?
I
Or
thought peasant was uncommon lore.
Pauper is all commons. Peasant is all commons, and you can have up to 5 uncommons in your deck.
oh, okay.
Which is like whatever. Honestly, I think for Lorcana, we'll probably be able to get away with rare or lower.
Yeah.
Well, we do have 4 more of our Glimmer Gang Wheel of our cards to talk about, but unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to Brandon for the night. So, Brandon, I want to say thank you for coming on and joining us, and we're gonna head to a quick intermission, everyone, to be able to welcome in our special guest. You guys will be able to see him. But Brandon, do you have any final closing words for the night?
Just thank you guys for bringing me on. I love talking to all you guys. You know that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, we will head to intermission, and we will talk to you guys in a few minutes. For all of you lovely folks listening and or watching after the fact, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast so far. And there's a lot more to come. But now, back to your regularly scheduled program. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. And we have our special guest with us. I think everyone could have guessed it. It is Eric from The Gamer. Eric, how you doing tonight, sir?
Hello. Okay, just want to say 2 things really quick. First of all, you're all lovely. I'm glad to see you all. Thank you for having me. Pauper, Porcana. It's right there.
Lorcana, yeah, baby.
Wow, how did we not see that?
Secondly, Jonti. Oh, wasn't it so hard waiting all weekend to not tell anyone about our 2 cards? You don't know hell, my friend. You don't know.
Suffered like I've suffered.
A living nightmare. All right, that's all I had to say.
I couldn't do it. Not for that long, and not with that amount of information. I just splooged everywhere.
Splooged. Hold on, wait a minute.
This is a G-rated channel, sir.
Jonti's face looks like he's done with us.
I don't think I've ever heard. I haven't heard anybody use that word since high school. So.
Yeah.
What, like 2 years ago for me?
This is Lorcana High, I guess.
All right, I'm out. See you later.
My job is to make everyone feel old. That is my one and only job.
You're doing a great job there. You're doing a really good job.
Real good job.
But we're going to finish off the cards. We're going to head over to Spencer for his 2 cards that he chose. Spencer, what do you got for us?
Let me pull them up because I don't remember. There we go. All right, so I've got Rapunzel, Legendary, and Baby Tamatoa. So Rapunzel here is a 4-cost inkable 1/5/2 with the ability Gleam and Glow. When you play this character, remove up to 3 damage from one of your characters. Draw a card for each 1 damage removed this way. Bonkers. It's so much value. Not only do you get a decently statted, she's only 1 below curve card, 2 lore, but then you also get this crazy amount of value from her ability. The reason I picked her was because I wanted to talk about healing in the game a little bit, just because I've seen a lot of discussion in the Discord and kind of want to talk about like how it really shakes out in the game, and like how you actually use healing. And so a lot of people think that, you know, you're expected that your character is going to take damage through your opponent's turn, and then it's going to come to yours, and then you're going to heal them up. That's not what happens. 90% of the time, if someone can't take something out, they're not going to go into it. But what is really beneficial to this and why healing is nice is because it's when you challenge into your opponent and your creature survives, you can then heal that thing up, and now your opponent has to overcome that entire willpower again in order to remove it or to deal with it, which means that it might be another card that it takes for them to challenge into it, and it gives you, going from a 1-for-1 into a 3-for-1 if you're able to heal it potentially. And that's really where the value from the healing comes in. And then getting draw on top of that, it's just so much card advantage if you're able to really take advantage of her in the right situation. And so I love her. I think she's going to be a staple in Amber decks just because of that value that she adds, particularly since it's kind of lacking in the draw department, and she's such a good engine for that. On to the Baby Tamatoa. As soon as I saw this card, I fell in love, and it was hilarious because Ryan in this morning's video on the Gamer, he talked about this card, and it was literally what he talked about is the exact scenario that happened to me. I'm scrolling through the app, I see this card, and I'm like, oh, what? It's like a little baby Tamatoa, like from the, he talks about being like a little drab little crab in the song, and this is him, and he's like got the little shiny, and it's his first shiny, and he's just all excited about it, and then you just imagine this whole progression of like Tamatoa's life of like starting out as this little crab, and then he finds a shiny, and then he goes and looks for more shinies, and eventually he turns into Big Tom, and like that whole scenario just happened in my head the instant I saw this card. And it's exactly what Ravensburger intended to happen. And that just like kind of blew me away. And it hasn't really happened with most of the cards in this kind of situation, because like they've done like little Dreamborn versions of this and that and this and that. But for some reason, this particular card and the way that it like took, that one little lyric from song, and then it turned into this entire like story in my head of the character's progression, just being able to see it, it was just, I don't know, it was like a moment for me. And like it's not a particularly good card, but I just really appreciate what Ravensburger was able to do, the story they were able to tell with this art, and it just, I don't know, it gave me goosebumps.
Yeah,
Awesome.
amazing storytelling in that card.
I don't know if this is like part of what you're saying there. I'm not quite sure. This in my head makes perfect sense, but I've got a feeling that when it comes out of my mouth, it won't. And maybe Aaron and Liam can touch on this because it's a bit more art focused. It's not really my area. But I think, look, but that Baby Tamatoa is the only card I can see where it's a canonically accurate depiction of a character that doesn't feature in its film. So all of the other Dreamborns are like, what if this happened, or what if that happened? But like you said, he was a drab little crab once, but we've never seen that. And I genuinely think this might be the first artwork where that's kind of how it's been, how it's put together. It's not a what if version. It's a this happened once.
It's a what
this
was version.
Yeah. And I genuinely can't think of another piece that fits that bracket.
Honestly, yeah. While Sneaky was talking, I was actually thinking that we were looking at the card, and I was actually thinking that exact thing of like, I don't think of there is another Dreamborn that is an iteration of a character that actually exists in its reality of a Storyborn.
I can't think of one either, but I think of something that's kind of close is Minnie Beloved Princess, because she's not in the Musketeer movie, but if she was in the Musketeer movie, that's who
she would be the princess.
She would be.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought she sends them out like to go.
She's in the Musketeer.
She's in the Musketeer movie. Mm-hmm. Her and Daisy are both in that movie.
Well, never mind.
What does Eric really know?
Not the Musketeers, I guess.
The cards in the game, there is a variety of art styles, but they tend to veer towards Nicholas Cole's style, or like a like Dreamborn Jasmine, where it's kind of polished digital art. Tamatoa is another Jeff Murchie. The other big one that we've seen is the Beast.
Right?
Who's in the forest, and so now after seeing these two cards, you can tell a Murchie when you see it. And which is really exciting because they're bringing in artists who may differ slightly from the polished style that they leaned into right off the bat, and allowing that artist to do their thing. And I think the result is some really beautiful pieces. And I hope that as much as they try to standardize the look of some of these characters, that they continue to bring in
I
artists.
hope it stretches out.
for
Yeah,
their
I really
style.
do. It's
Yeah.
one thing. One thing I like about Star Wars Unlimited, arguably the only thing I like about Star Wars Unlimited, is that I don't enjoy some of the art at all, and I know that's a weird thing to say maybe, but because it's so varied, like for me that's a big selling point. Even though me personally doesn't enjoy some of it, I love the fact that it is so wide ranging, and I completely understand why Lorcana has stuck to more of this. Is it modern storybook you refer to it as, Liam?
Yeah.
Great video on the subject, by the way. You should go and watch that. But yeah, like I totally understand why they've done that, but I do hope that it does stretch a little over time, and like you say, those two pieces are really good, and there's a few more that sort of stretch it a little. Are we safe to assume that maybe like Nicholas Cole was perhaps the first artist that they maybe they got some of his pieces done and then used that as like a reference point for other artists, kind of saying this is the kind of thing we're looking for? Is that something we can assume, do you think?
Eric Switzer may have better insight on this than we do, but reading between the lines, that seems to be the case. We do know that Nicholas Cole was the impetus for bringing on several other artists that we've talked to through his personal connections. And so it's kind of safe to assume that he kind of set the tone, and then he was one of the first that they brought on. But not confirmed. This is just us reading between the lines.
I would love to answer that, but I have an interview with him coming up, so we will answer that. Just not today.
Beautiful. An answer eventually is better than no answer at all.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on.
But on the subject of cards that
go ahead, Eric. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Shut up, Eric.
I heard the word. We're gonna move on.
You don't cut off Eric. No, you don't cut off Eric.
He technically cut off me.
Eric, was it the gamer that did Merlin that kind of talked about this?
Are we?
Well,
Should
somebody
I go?
say something.
Yeah, Eric, go. You go. You go.
On the subject of cards that have art styles that really stretch, out. I think Moana, Chosen by the Ocean, is a really standout style. And then my colleague Joe Parlak did an article all about Merlin's self-appointed mentor.
Yeah,
very good article.
Has a really cool style. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anyone else want to cut me off, or? But no,
Well,
we're
speaking
gonna.
of which, then,
Anyways, about
yeah, how about them Digimon trading card games?
We're gonna go on to the next member of our Glimmer Gang's cards. Blake, he chose Jafar, and hands down, probably gonna be one of the best arts in the set. But I'll let him talk about that. And he also chose Eye of the Fates. So Blake, why did you choose these two cards to talk about today?
Okay, let me just do a quick look over them real quick for you. Jafar, Keeper of Secrets, is a 4-cost inkable 0/5 with 2 lore, and he has an ability, Hidden Wonders. This character gets +1 strength for each card in your hand. And then the Eye of the Fates is a 4-cost inkable item, and with the ability of See the Future, exert this card, and then chosen character gets +1 lore this turn. So starting with Jafar, yes, I agree for sure. Definitely one of the best arts of the set, in my personal opinion. And I know he's not an amazing card, but his ability gets me excited for what other kind of cards will come. I used to be a huge Hearthstone player, and one of my favorite decks that I used to run was a Warlock deck that was known as Handlock, and it was basically a hands matters deck. How big your hand was mattered to the cards that you were playing. So I'm just really excited to see what other abilities we see in the future that will kind of support this sort of play style of being able to have a really big hand and being able to play cards that care about how big that hand is.
I think the issue with him is that that ability and in a lot of other card games would be incredible, but here the difference between him being a 7 willpower and a 18 willpower doesn't make any difference, right? Currently, like as long as he's big enough to kill what's on the other side of the board, it doesn't really matter. But I think you're exactly right that the design space is super fascinating, and and I hope, and that art is incredible. I remember I'd been doing reveals of all the cards on YouTube as they've come out, and I'm scrolling through them. I remember looking at that and going, "Oh, look, the thumbnail." Because like, it's just that's the one, right?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, imagine this card in Pokemon, and then I realized, like, oh wait, no, that exists. It's Tinkertuff.
I can't honestly. One thing I want to say about Jafar is, and Liam, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but Marcel is going to be in Miami, correct?
Correct.
I just need to ask him why Jafar's so mad at that camel. That's all I want to know is why is he so angry at that poor little camel?
Yeah, I will ask.
You want to hear what that camel's been saying about him? Man.
For real.
I mean,
Must have spit on him.
Ooh. You know what? I will ask. I will
Please
ask.
do. Please do.
I purely think it's camel for scale. I think that camel is
That
there
could
to
be.
show us
But
the momentous.
the way it literally looks like Jafar's shouting directly at the camel.
Well,
That camel owes him money.
I had to go and Google the original image, the camel, and like how the mouth is so close to the original Cavern's the lion's mouth and the original Cavern's from the movie. Like it's so close and it's so good. And he kind of shouts, you know, so he's doing the same thing, I guess. Yeah.
I actually have an interview with the camel coming up soon, so I'll be
Oh, sweet. That's
Be on the lookout for that one.
Good.
That's gonna top off Lorcana week. That's the crown jewel right there.
The camel. The camel
Who'd
translation.
have thought
So-
that it was a camel that
Oh,
was the one
boy.
to reveal the full arts? Like,
I got that for right here.
But can we imagine? Let's just take a second and imagine this card in full art, though.
Yeah.
oh,
It's not the one you want though. But I will say this for Jafar: if you look at the lore stats in the 4-drop range, Amethyst has the most with 2 lore outside of Hans with 3. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 targets that have 2 lore in that 4-drop spot, and I think that's very valuable, especially with a 5 defense. Like maybe his offense isn't that great, but without targeted removal, the opponent's going to need at least 2 characters to bring him down. So being able to quest in that range with so many really good questers in the 4-drop, sure, I'll take a 0-5 quester. I don't really care if he's got a lot of attack. If it's higher, sure. But the fact that you have so much consistency with lore batteries in Amethyst, yeah, I think he's going to see a lot of play. I really do.
yeah, the ceiling kind of caps out, but the floor isn't that low, really, when it comes down to it, right?
Yeah. Most 4-drops have 1 lore and a really cool ability, and he's got a really cool ability and 2 lore and high willpower. I think that's a very powerful combination of things.
for sure.
Also, you could cheat him out just in time.
Mm-hmm.
So turn 3, 0-5, 2 lore, not too bad.
I mean,
You could just play Lantern.
play Lantern and 1 jump ahead.
Why?
All right.
Do your other one, Blake.
All right. So I had the Fates. Alone, I just love Hercules. Is definitely one of my favorite of the Renaissance era movies. And so far, one of my favorite decks to experiment with has been Item Slingers, and this just fits so nicely in there. Being able to give Ariel +1 lore and just keep questing with her 2 at a time and having multiple looks crazy. And then just outside of Item Slingers, this is a pretty solid card too. Just have it on board and be able to add that lore every turn. And even early games before you get your big stuff online, you can have your cheap stuff going in for more lore than they should be. So yeah, I just really like that.
Clear goes in the, like you've smashed this so hard into the item deck, it's ridiculous, right? Like there is steam coming off it, and quickly you throw this into your item deck. But yeah, I think you're right. Like this probably goes in a lot of stuff in this color. Like how many times you're playing and you're like, well, I can quest here, I can get some quest. This thing just gets you 5% closer to the win every time you quest. It's great.
It puts the I in item.
Oh man! But this on a bell with 6 lore. That's a nasty thing.
Oh boy!
All right, now that we're past the dad jokes of the night.
Oh, we're never past the dad jokes, bud.
Oh, no, these people dads. Yeah, there's too many dads.
Liam's just warming up.
Yeah, he's just warming. he's getting his arm ready. He's in the bullpen still.
He's not a dad yet. Not yet.
I'm assuming. I should hope he is. Have you got have they sent you the booklet yet? You get you'll get a booklet of dad jokes.
Yeah.
In the post.
When the stork comes, he'll bring that.
It's called Hi Hungry I'm Dad. And it's really great. It's got all the classics.
So excited.
All right. So second to last is our good buddy Sean. He has chosen Cusco, and you have forgotten me. Sean, why did you choose these two lovely cards?
As soon as Cusco was revealed, I just immediately loved it. I really like the ward mechanic in this game, since a lot of decks or inks in general kind of hinge on their ability to remove threats. You take that away when you have ward. He has 3 lore, which is great, and he is essentially just a bigger, better version of Cheshire Cat, which I've loved that card since the very beginning, essentially. As soon as we saw it and I started playing it in Emerald, I loved it. So this is just a better version of that. He is uninkable, which you got to watch out for, obviously, especially in Emerald. There are a lot of Emerald's really good cards are uninkable. So, yeah, and anything in Emerald I love. No Touchy being the title of his ability. Love that. I just remember loving this movie so much because I'm just always been a big David Spade fan too, and that cast is actually really stacked. When I went back and looked, it's pretty awesome, like who the kind of voice actors they have in that movie. But yeah, I just love it. It's kind of an oppressive threat. Any way you look at it, you're going to get 3 lore or more at some point. So. And then you have forgotten me. Each opponent chooses and discards 2 cards. Oh, that feels so good to me. It really, at a 4-cost inkable, I think it's great. And like we've talked about with a couple other cards already, its value just goes that much higher when you hit multiplayer.
How is the best Emerald card Amber?
I don't get it either. I don't get it either, but I like it. I'm here for it. Yeah, and it's inkable as well. So like, yeah, you might run into a point where you're late game, your opponent doesn't have any cards in hand, so this doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. So you just chunk it in the Inkwell. So yeah, and the art and that moment in that movie, it's a very powerful moment in that movie too. I loved that I kind of thought they would use this moment to do like a boon for your side of the field as opposed to doing a negative effect to your opponent, but still really good.
That's true. From a flavor perspective.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's the start of that talk.
Right,
like,
he's like scolding him basically.
By the end of the talk, it starts to come round again.
Yeah.
Like, and I think we'll see that as well. Like cards eventually that sort of fill in the little package. Like the fact that there's a card at the moment called "He's Got a Sword," and there's 100% one coming. We've all got a sword, right? Like you know it's happening.
It's "You Have Forgotten Me," and the next one's "Now You Remember Me."
Yeah.
Remember me.
I've been talking about "He's Got a Sword" for so long, and I was so happy to see the card.
It's such an iconic scene from that movie too. When he picks it up and it's just like 4 times as big as he is. Like it's such good comedy, such classic comedy.
We all have swords.
Yeah,
and that's going to be what, like plus 1 willpower to all characters or something. We all have swords.
Yeah.
I totally see.
No, it's going to be
right
all allies. It'll be an item.
Could be.
Yeah.
It'll be an anthem.
I'll be here for it.
Yeah, me too. Well, we have our final two cards, and these are my two cards that I chose. Belle is a 2/4/1/4 ink. Strange but special. I love that. That's so unique. Read a book is her first ability, and during your turn, you may put an additional card from your hand into your Inkwell face down. Like ramp, it's so good. My favorite part: when you have 10 or more cards in your Inkwell, this character gains +4 lore, 5 per turn. I mean, I would think you're probably going to get this out once per turn, but that's still crazy. So that's like the ramp part of me, and then the control part of me chose Jasper. He's a 2/4/1/4 ink, and his ability is puppy napping. When this character quests, chosen opponent character can't quest during their chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn. So these two cards kind of just like they bring it all together for me. It's from coming from Pokemon. If Brandon was here, he could relate to this. There's the control, there's the ramp, everything's there. And something that I love about Belle is she's not gonna be the greatest attacker, but she can stay around for a turn or two. How I think I would play Belle is you throw down one, you use it to get as many cards into your Inkwell as you can, and you throw down another one, and that's the one you start questing with. That's kind of like my initial thoughts on the card. And then Jasper, he's in the starter decks, and when I've used them testing with the starter decks, it's just been nice to like limit those 2 lore batteries, those 3 lore batteries when they come up. So yeah, those are my two card choices, ones that I very much enjoy. And so I want to open up the discussion to anyone and everyone and talk about just any more cards before we head into the part about Lorcana Week. Anything else on these cards that we have for you guys have?
Can I ask Eric Switzer, like, what are your two favorite
Oh yeah.
cards?
He's not allowed to say because he'll accidentally say something from set 2.
Buzz Lightyear, full art, favorite card.
It's Aladdin because he's the full art in the set.
If you say Bart Simpson, I'm gonna just jump.
I've been picking ones on every show. I've been doing a lot of shows this week. I've been picking different ones every time. So I want to talk a little bit about supporters. Nobody talked about a supporter yet. And I just really like the extra branch in the decision tree when you have a supporter on the board. It just gives you like another option for how you want to make your moves. And so I'll talk about Chief Tui, who has 3 lore, and he's a support with 3 strength. So it feels like no matter what you choose to do with him, you're going to get a lot of value. I think that's a really cool card.
Awesome. So yeah, anyone else opinions, thoughts on cards listed today, cards not listed today that obviously we got a ton yesterday when the app was released?
Sure, let's talk about the most annoying card in the set. Mother Gothel. The you don't get to play the game
Sean,
card.
you're muted.
Thank you, Teddy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I love that card. Stoogie, I'm right there with you.
Control.
I don't want you to have as much fun as I'm having, is what that card tells me.
This is you cannot win the game card. Like you cannot no because there's
demands to be answered. Yeah.
There's no actions. So there's actions that remove lore, and there's things that steal, but there are no cards that say you gain lore. So if you can protect her, you literally cannot win the game. It's amazing.
Yeah, throw some bodyguards in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Hide her and steal. You could also set this up as a mill deck. Unfortunately, you can't mill the opponent, but if they're playing Amethyst and they play a couple of friends on the other side, you could set up a mill condition where you mill them out and you just hide behind Mother Gothel and like 4 Mickeys, 4 Goofies. I'm not 4 Donalds. And you just mess with them with bouncing, you do genie loops, like it's a very technical deck, but it is a very possible deck to play. Or you could just quest. I mean, depending on how mean you want to be, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think like if you're going that strategy, Amber might actually be the better play, just because not only does it have bodyguards, but it's also got recursion. So if she gets destroyed, you can pull them back, and eventually your opponent's going to run out of removal.
Mm-hmm.
I do also want to just do a call out to the Ursula that came out by Smuggler's System.
Yes.
Is like gorgeous on that card. I definitely think that was like probably my favorite art card that came out this week. I think it's stunning.
And we love Panda.
Yeah.
We like we knew that the first couple of sets were going to be relatively lore light before we really settle in. Do we still see like Ursula being the sort of baddie of the narrative with the seaweed and stuff? Is that still a thing? Do you think?
Maybe.
This is a question for Blake.
I have basically ever since the set drop, I've been just looking over all the cards just to see what other story bits we can glean, and I think we're going to need some outside context from the app and other drops. But I really did take a long time looking at Ursula's card just to see what was going on there. But just from what I've seen so far, I don't know if it's Ursula.
Eric's just sitting there looking at his trove booklet. Just
The trove. So the trove booklet has some nice background. It's kind of the same stuff if you saw the comic books interview with Ryan that came out today.
Mhm.
What he lays out is pretty much what's in the
Yeah,
trove.
it's like the surface level stuff to set us
Yeah,
up. But I remember even when we saw, I think like Detective Mickey, like we all immediately spotted that seaweed and was like, well, that doesn't really make any sense outside of having to be part of a narrative here, because it
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
lead into the art, it doesn't lead into any Mickey Mouse stuff from previous. So I don't know. It looks exactly, especially on the Westleton, it looks exactly like the seaweed in Ursula's Lair, like
Well,
from the movie. Like I'd be amazed if it isn't that.
In our gameplay video, Ryan points out the seaweed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be. But I was expecting, even if it was just flavor text, I was expecting a more like Dreamborn focused flavor text, like with Elsa's one about being in a new world. Like
Right.
I kind of expected something from Ursula, like this place needs a boss and it can be me, or you know what I mean. I'm not really good at this kind of thing, but like I thought they would just like the fact that there's trickled a little bit in. I was expecting just a little bit of spice there before we finish with the set, but maybe not.
And just that we were narrowing in on it and we didn't see Ursula until the very end.
Yeah, I was just expecting a little thing, not even something that they would draw attention to, just enough to keep our sort of whistles wet,
Yeah, but I'm with Blake. I'm not actually sure that's the right angle at this point.
Yeah. Well,
real quick before we jump into Lorcana week, does everyone just want to go around and say what they're, now that we've seen all the cards for set 1, what 2 colors they're most excited to build?
let's do it. Eric, because you're in the top left, we'll start with you.
That's me on top left. Steel and emerald.
All
Oh,
right.
that was mine.
I feel like that's gonna be everybody.
Yeah, at least I got to go first.
Well, I'm gonna ask Aaron next because Liam looks like he's having a crisis on his.
He's just like now he's like knee deep into the art on the app. I really want to build a steel ruby deck and see if I can make that work. That just seems like fun. I don't know why, but it just does.
I think it could. It would give you the. I think it would give you the biggest removal package.
Yeah.
In the game.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got the massive challenging package with the Mufasa, Tinkerbell, Aladdin, and Mulan.
Yeah.
And the untapped cards, like gross.
You would very much be able to stop your opponent winning. Winning yourself would be the trickier bit with those colors, I think.
So we'll see how it goes.
Liam, do you have one?
I've been interested in that for a while.
Liam, do you have one for us? Any 2 colors you want?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that I'd like to play. For me, I gravitate towards flavor. I gravitate towards feel. I just love since the very beginning, since we've done our art deep dives, I love Amber and I love Sapphire because it's where you see the art, the ink identity so well in the art. So I'm gonna pick Sapphire Amber just because I like the colors. Probably won't be competitive, but
What?
day,
Sapphire
Sapphire-
Amber is great.
Amber
meta.
Sapphire Princesses is gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Princess Triball's nuts.
That's what I meant.
Liam's princess deck.
Yeah, I'm excited for those two colors.
Cool. Jonti, yours were stolen.
No, well, actually, mine are emerald steel, not
Oh.
steel emeralds. 'Cause,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got a stronger emerald base.
Yeah, I love all the emerald stuff that's just like shutting the opponent down. It's gross and I love it. But also, much like Liam, I kind of want to play a bit of everything. But I'm very aware that product scarcity and therefore then cost of singles on secondhand market, it's gonna be difficult to build multiple good competitive decks.
Mhm.
So when I say Emerald Steel, that's the one I want to bring out against people who know what they're doing. But I also want to build an Aladdin deck that I can just play with friends, or and I want to build a
Well, they won't be your friends for
frozen
much
deck.
longer
and-
after you play that deck against them.
But no, I'm not saying Aladdin as in heroic outlaw.
Okay.
I'm saying Aladdin as in all the green and red things that have Aladdin on them. Like I'm talking stolen scimitar. Like I'm just I just want to build a thematic. Hey, here's my Aladdin deck. Do you want to play this frozen deck I've got? Like they're not necessarily going to be particularly powerful. So that just we can sit down and people can look at the art and just get interested in the game. Those are the things I'm looking forward to building the most. But if I'm sitting across somebody and I want to win, I'm going Emerald Steel.
Awesome. Well, Blake, what do you got for us? What are your two colors you want?
Definitely Sapphire. Both sides said Sapphire with the ramp and item slingers. I want to build decks around those. So figuring out which colors go best with that. So probably steel for ramp, and I'm still working on the color that goes best with the items. But I am also working on a fun little ruby amethyst deck that I'm trying out. So
Beautiful.
when we get into that sort of fun stuff, I'll share more details on that.
Mysterious.
Well, for me, I want to do Sapphire Emerald. I feel like ramp plus control. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but I want to play around with it and I want to see what I can do to even things out and be able to get cards out quickly, but also control what my opponent is doing. I feel like that's could be the best of both worlds. I think it's to take some testing to figure out. But moving on to Sean, what do you got, buddy?
I've gotten a chance to test out a lot of different colors. I think what I'm most excited to lean into now that we have everything is I want to do Steel Amber Musketeers, just because it looks like a lot of fun. Steel Amber Musketeers, Bodyguard, Challenger nonsense. It just looks like a lot of fun.
Awesome. Spencer?
I was so hyped for that deck until we saw Donald Duck, and it just I don't know why, but it just wasn't.
I love that art so much.
I just as a card, I was really hoping for and I was hoping for another one as well, like 4 Musketeers.
Right.
But I think with the Bodyguard package, it's probably something good there.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that as well. I just don't think we have enough Musketeers to really develop it.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it in the future.
Sweet. Sugi, what do you got for us?
I'm surprised no one said this one. I'm really interested in Emerald Amethyst. So you've got control, you've got draw, you've got really great threats early game with Pascal and Baby Maleficent. You've got mid-range threats with Flynn and Jasper. Some of your bigger bodies are going to be perfect for sitting down on Cheshire Cat and Cusco. You can use Sork Maleficent to draw, Hans to quest. You have so many tools. If you want, you can also pivot to a Mickey Brooms package mid-game and then try and shift up to a Dr. Facilier right after that, so you just keep recurring over and over and over and over and over. There's a lot of really gnarly tools that it's basically going to force your opponent to find answers to your threats. You're going to have a ton of consistency with friends on the other side. You've got the Queen, you've got Ursula's Cauldron and Sork Maleficent to draw. You've got weird removal in Cheshire and Cusco. Like, you don't get to control it, but your opponent still has to commit.
And how much better do they get once Facilier's on the board as well, right?
Yeah, just feel bad about, oh, hey, I'm going to quest with my 2 and 3 lore batteries. Okay, cool, I challenged them. Your card gets banished. My card goes back to my hand. I'll just recast it.
That's gross.
Yeah.
You also have access to Genie for bounce. You have Mother Knows Best for bounce. You can go into Lady Tremaine action recursion. You can go into the Reckless loops with Silver and Iago. Like, there are so many points to pivot. But the big thing is quest denial and card consistency. Like, you just have so many ways to flexibly control what's in your hand. And when so many people are like, oh, I'm going to run out of cards. Yeah, Amethyst doesn't care about that problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
That's a you
Not
problem.
Amethyst, that's
not
not
a
Amethyst's
me
problem.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I think most players who are going to run control are probably going to look into this color scheme just because when you're playing control, you need options, and the best card draw is in Amethyst, like, point for point. So being able to keep your hand full and keep your board full, very spicy. Very, very spicy.
Awesome. Well, certainly, not least. I don't even know the phrase anymore. It's
Wow.
last but not least. Sorry about that, Chris. What are 2 colors are you looking forward to playing together?
Yeah, like we discussed earlier, probably Ruby and Emerald. Again, just like disruption, lore disruption.
Yeah.
I'm
Awesome.
excited about exploring that and seeing how that goes.
Awesome. Well, we are going.
I didn't go to
Did I skip you?
Yes.
So last but not
he
least,
started it. That's the thing.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
started
Did
it.
not last.
At least.
Yeah, I was crossing my fingers so hard because nobody had said it until finally Chris did. The Ruby Emerald. I'm dubbing it Lorcana. Just because it's just,
I like that.
yeah, just because it sounds like just the most degenerate deck possible.
yeah,
Awesome.
like Mill, like Mill and Magic, you know.
Any
Is
mill.
there, doesn't have to be good,
Right.
is there a playable monocolor deck?
Emerald.
Yes. Steel.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I think
With the benefits of running, I mean, with the benefits of running the monocolor, like I mean,
No, it's absolutely zero.
Yeah.
You're hurting
like-
yourself if anything.
And only
Right.
you are only unless if we ever see which could happen in future sets, if we ever see cards that care about identity,
Right.
like all emerald cards got ...
Right.
That's the only thing I can think of at the moment that would make it happen. But I was just curious, really, like it's when I say not, it doesn't have to be good. Like is there something you could take to organized play and actually not just completely
Right.
get walked over?
Oh, yeah. Steel can do it.
Yeah, I suppose it's got answers. It's got ramp. It's got not ramp. It's got card draw.
It's
got
got,
You've
answers.
also
got-
got Simba and Ka, who gain lore and remove bodies. Tinker Bomb, who removes bodies, deals damage.
Bomb, I like that.
Your bomb.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Maui, who quests for 3. Kronk, who quests for 2. Like, you just start slow. You slow kill them with cannons and smash early game. Then you ramp up to Tinker Bomb on turn 4. Then you grab your swords on turn 5, and then it's game over. Like, you just have so much control. And then you popped out to Ka, and it's like, hey, anything you play, I'm just gonna kill and gain lore.
If sideboards become a thing, and we haven't heard anything about that, then going minimum with a second color gives you like maximum flexibility with your sideboard, because you can take answers from whatever colors you want, rather than being restricted to.
Oh, I see what you mean. So you could actually. So
You
that's
should
interesting
prefer
then.
color.
Would your so you're saying that the sideboard wouldn't have to maintain the color identity of the deck?
It should, but not necessarily.
Potentially, I mean, it depends on the rule.
Yeah.
It's
I
your
hope it-
deck, you know.
There shouldn't be a side. Well, I don't know, that's another discussion. But will there be a sideboard for this game? I don't. I mean, again,
that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, right.
We're
Oh,
not
my
going there.
Please no.
I want to say one more thing before we hit this next part. Lorcana HQ Discord just crossed 5,000 members.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow.
You know, it's a very special place for
Mostly,
all of us.
Yeah.
mostly bots.
Mostly,
bots.
it's
It's still-
bots, you know.
Yeah, there's
Sales
us
of
nine.
adult vitamins.
All right. Well, we're gonna head to another intermission, but before we do that, we're gonna say goodbye to the Illumiteers, and we're also say goodbye to Sugi from Lorcanacast. So we want to thank you guys for coming on, and we will be back after the intermission, everyone. If you guys aren't already following us on our socials, check out our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and even Threads. We're going to be posting a bunch of great things from GenCon that you won't want to miss. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Glimmer Gang podcast. We are back with a little smaller of a crowd, but we're going to talk Lorcana Week now. And since this is Eric's baby, this is his creation, he dubbed this week. Eric, why don't you talk about this? How did this come about? Where did the idea come from? Just give us the rundown.
Sure, man. Well, I mean, I think the main thing that people probably want to hear about is how hard I crushed it in day one of the starter deck challenge. Let's go. Adam, you got to get up pretty early if you want to take down old Eric. Yeah, Lorcana Week. I'm sure everybody's watching knows. Everybody here knows we're doing this thing. We've been working on it for a really long time, like really, really long time. Even before I shot all that stuff with Ryan. So, like, if you guys saw that Rapunzel card reveal with Ryan, that was when we shot that. I mean, that video, that card reveal was a week after we shot that stuff, and that was, I don't know, 8 weeks ago or something at that point. And we had been talking about Lorcana Week before that. So it's just like a huge effort, and you know, if you don't like read every single thing, I get it, but you probably don't know how much work goes into something like this. But we have a really big team and a lot of people involved, and no one else wants to or is trying to do something like this for Lorcana. So it's just like a way for us to be like, hey, we're the video game website that's gonna be, you know, the main Lorcana website. Like we want the authority. We want everybody to know, like, the gamer and Lorcana go together. That's what we're trying to pull off.
Awesome.
I know. So Lorcana Week has probably been in the works for a few months now, but way before that, we've spoken. You said that you really wanted to be that sort of that knowledge base for Lorcana.
The hub.
How early did that idea come about in the sort of public life of Lorcana?
Yeah, I think that there was a spark of that idea in my mind when I was at D23 interviewing Ryan, because I mean, we had only heard about the game like a week or 5 days before.
It was a handful of days, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I got an email from Ravensburger asking if I was going to be there, and I wasn't, and I was like, oh no, sorry. And then I was just sitting at my desk for like 10 minutes later, like, wait, I should be there. This is like a huge opportunity. So I figured it out. It was like 2 days before D23. I figured out how to get in and met up with them there, and I didn't even have equipment. I just had my phone, and I just like held it up to Ryan's face, and I was like, tell me about your card game.
So that's interesting that Ravensburger actually emailed you in the first place. I assume not only you. At that point.
We had already done like villainous reviews, and like
Okay.
I had a little bit of a relationship with them, but not.
But I imagine that was like a net being cast to game to game press.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because I wasn't really expecting that, actually. And I imagine that before that email, D23 is not something that's on a video game press radar, really, is it? Like, does stuff get revealed there for games?
So this year was huge for games. They had a game panel and they revealed like 8 different games. Amy Hennig's like Captain America Black Panther game was revealed there. Marvel World of Heroes was reviewed before they canceled it a couple weeks ago. make
How about the Disney
Illusion
racing car game? Was that there?
It wasn't revealed, but it was. They
Yeah.
had like a trailer for it there. Yeah, so it was like a really big year for games, and it was one of the hardest things I've had to do in my career because I showed up and they gave me all these interview slots, like just times, and I was like, okay, I just have times. Who am I interviewing? And they're like, well, you'll find out after the panel. And the interview started after the panel, like right then. So I walked into a room and they said, for the next 2 hours, you're going to interview whoever we bring in front of your face. So
is it like it's like a speed date thing? Is it like is all the journalists sat around the outside and then
they put me they put me in a cubicle and they just brought in Ben Brode. And then they just brought in the Firaxis guys that did Marvel, the turn-based one, Midnight Suns, and they just brought it from the guy from Delilah that directed Illusion Island, and just for like 2 hours they were just like, here's Ben Brode, ask him questions.
But all of that was set up after you decided to go based on Ravensburger's email.
Yes, less than 2 days before D23 started, all that got set up. Yeah,
that blows my mind, and it also blows my mind that you were the stationary half of those partnerships, and they did, and they didn't drag you around. I totally thought it would have been that way around.
Yeah, that was the one nice part.
Grab your Zoom and come with me.
Yeah, I got to have a little home. So, Lorcana had a booth, and I just like finessed my way in early. I was just like, oh, I have a meeting, or there was a guy with a big camera, and I was like, I'm with that guy, and I just followed him in, and I got up to the booth, and I like met Ryan, met a bunch of the Ravensburger people there, and I was like, can we do an interview right now? And just like came up with some questions, and from that was sort of like the seed of like, okay, if I can take Lorcana seriously, because I immediately loved it. The second I saw those 6 cards, those 7 cards, I was like, yeah, this is a game. I'm doing this. And I just like was so tenacious with their PR. Just like every little piece of news or anything that came out, I was emailing them, hey, can I get a quote on that? Hey, can I ask some questions about that? Just like on them about everything. And eventually they got really sick of telling me no, I guess.
Wow. So are we finding out that Eric is Eric's what made Cassidy leave? Is that what? done with
I never met Cassidy. I don't know anything about that.
Well, I think the awesome thing is like, this was like your baby and your idea, but then Ravensburger themselves actually latched onto it.
Right.
Because I mean, there was like I forget what the YouTube channel was, but they got interviews at the UK Games Expo in June, and Ravensburger told them to wait until Lorcana week.
Yep.
And I just think that's so awesome.
Yeah, and it was another thing that started. Thank you. It was another thing that started with the whole thing with Ryan, because I was like, hey, so before I was in game journalism, I was a filmmaker. I live in LA. And so I have a lot of connections to studios and equipment and crew. And I was like, if you can get Ryan out here, I can get a studio, I can hire a crew, we can make some videos. And that, I think, put the idea in their minds, like, oh, well, if we are going to do that with the gamer, who else can we do that with? And so that's why, Comic Book was doing videos, and IGN had a reveal that whole week when we all the press had reveals. That was when Ryan was traveling around to all the different sites, and I'm that started with like me just going, please bring Brian to me, please, we'll figure this out.
I suppose you have the benefit in LA of being near those other offices as well, right? Like it's one trip for Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. They went to IGN in the morning and then came to my studio in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I just really want to know what they gave the LA Times.
Hey, are we waiting for something from them always?
I don't think so.
Oh.
We know he went there and interviewed with them.
Well,
about the lawsuit, maybe.
So he went there and he gave him a card to reveal.
Yeah.
But nobody's under any obligation to.
Yeah, that's fair.
To like cover just because like he came by, because like IGN, they did a card reveal, and they did their review of the starter decks. But I think for now, that's going to be it for them.
That's fair.
So that was the LA Times was Sven that got lost in
Sven.
the ether.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Imagine going to the LA Times and all you get is a tweet without a hashtag on it.
Oh, that's rough.
All right, so
that nobody sees.
yeah. So Eric, I just want one final question before we do move on to Gen Con. Lorcana Week is about halfway done by now. Correct?
Yeah, we're going to Sunday.
Yeah. So we still got 4 more days. We've had 3 days of reveals. We've gotten the app. We've gotten the full set. We've got a bunch of stories. We got the starter deck lists. How has it been so far? Releasing all this stuff and seeing the community be able to have this information now, because I'm guessing you've been waiting a long time to reveal all this.
Yeah, man, a long time. I mean, I liken it to like what Ryan says about like working on this game for so long and finally letting people see it. You know, I have that to a much smaller degree, that I got to find out all this stuff about the game, and then I finally get to share what I know with everybody, and everybody's been so cool, man. I love this community because I like people, you know, give me credit, share my stuff. Like people are like, yo, the gamer did this. Like you don't get that. You don't get that from other press. Like other press will just take what you did and be like, we did this. It's incredible the way it's incredible the way this community and like Artem, like the Lorcania team and Mushu, and like we are all collaborating. We're all like trying to help each other. It's a super unique community to be in.
Awesome.
I remember talking to Artem super early on. Like the Lorcania was a page with the 7 cards that we knew on it, right?
Right.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this and I'm working on that, and I think I'm going to try and build it into a database." And he was really like on the fence about it all, and was like, "Oh, I might, you know, it's a lot of hours." And I remember saying to him like, "This can be something like in a big way. Like you could be the go-to site, right? You could be you could be channel viable for Lorcana, and like they're there, right? Like it's obviously it's a smaller scale at the moment, but you ask like where'd you go when you want to find something? You go to Lorcana, you go to Mushu Report, you go to Dreamborn, right? These 3 or 4 people who are all doing it. You know, on their free time, that you know, these are pro developers who are doing 8-hour days and then coming home and sitting and doing more of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
like they're smashing it at the park, man. They're absolutely destroying it. It's insane.
It's amazing to see. But yeah, Lorcana Week we still have a lot to learn. We have 4 more days of it, but after those 4 days are over, we enter into what is probably going to be, or it is, the biggest event for Lorcana since D23 last year. We are going to GenCon. I know Eric has been there before. Chris, you've been there before, and Jonti, yes. I believe you've been there before, correct?
I haven't actually. I do a load of cons. Most years are anywhere between sort of 12 and 20. But I don't do GenCon specifically because it's basically my boss's vacation. So it's normally him and his wife, who both manage the store, go. So I'm normally like in charge for a week while they're away. But this year I was like, can I come?
They're wheeling a bit.
So we're just gonna leave the store open and put a bucket and just say, please leave money.
It's like Halloween.
I'll go run it for you.
It's like Halloween when you leave candy for kids and take one. But they
exactly.
Take the whole
We're just gonna leave some magic boosters and a few Warhammer boxes by the door and saying help yourself. So we've got obviously the rest of the team are going to be there for us. Awesome. But yeah, so this is actually my first. I do more conventions than I have hot dinners, but this is actually my first Gen Con. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask Eric and Chris, just for any like quick tips that you guys may have for all of the newcomers coming to Gen Con.
Wash yourself.
Number 1.
It's no. This is real advice. Like, it is so hard to remember your biological needs when you are in the fervor of a convention like that, especially one where we're launching a game and getting these Lorcana cards for the first time. You're not going to be thinking about eating, drinking water, sleeping. Well, but like, You have to do those things. You have to. If you have to put a reminder on your phone, hey, it's time to eat a granola bar. It's really important. You will get sick. Like you will have a bad time.
Eddie will manage it, but everyone else who like we're all a little older now. You like this stuff matters, right? Yeah, make sure you've got some medication. Make sure you've got good insoles, comfy shoes. That's a big one for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, make sure go and buy yourself some they called Skoll or something. Those insoles.
Yeah,
That's,
just find time to
yeah.
find time to take a break. It's a lot. I mean, it's 50,000 people. There's a ton going on. Like just like sit down like in the hallway and like chill out. Like it's you'll be overstimulated the whole time. So find a space, find time in your schedule to take a break because you're not gonna make it otherwise. You got to really pace yourself over the 4 days. And there's a ton to see. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know, I mean, Lorcana is awesome, but you know, get out there, do some RPGs, do something you wouldn't normally do because it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing an RPG with Sean. Are you in that with us, Spencer?
It's the new Critical Role one. It's going to be sick.
Yeah,
oh, it's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your first RPG, Teddy?
Yeah, it'll be my first RPG.
Hey, there we go.
Awesome, man.
Brandon and Teddy we're introducing.
We're bringing them into the fold.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then
here's some hard advice. Even though I have not been, that my boss, like I say, goes every year, and I was chatting to him about how the fact that we're all sort of excited for Lorcana, and I mentioned that a lot of people were going to go and line up early on the Thursday.
Yeah.
And he gave me some advice about the logistics of doing that. So if you want me to share that, I can.
yeah, go right ahead.
So the convention hall, the exhibition hall is a huge hall, and it basically has a huge corridor all the way around it, and there are multiple doors to access it.
I'll jump in right here. I think most people who know or have listened know I go to school in Indianapolis, so ICC, it's huge. It can be confusing walking around the place, but have you seen pictures? The hallway is not as, I mean, it's not the biggest hallway, I feel like.
It's just 20 feet.
Yeah.
25 feet.
So this hallway goes all around.
Yeah.
And
the width of it is like about 25 feet, but it goes the whole.
It goes all the way around the building.
So it'll get a little packed, but Jonti, continue.
So basically, all you have to then go and work out which door is the nearest door to the Ravensburger booth.
Yes.
You can't line up. You can go and stand by this door, and you can be nearer to the door than other people, but there will not be a sign saying queue here for Lorcana.
Right.
You are just going to be near this door.
There'll be stationed like stanchions, like the whole. You could kind of corral yourself behind these stanchions. Yep.
Yeah. So you go and you get to that spot. Then when those doors open, you hastily walk.
Running.
but walk
People are serious about no running.
They are very serious, but people will still run.
You then hastily walk to the booth, and at that point, you can I always get mixed up. Do you line or queue?
Line up.
We line up.
Okay.
Either's fine.
Yeah.
You line up. So you line up. Queue is what you use to play pool, is what I was always told.
Yeah.
You line up, and the line will most likely go around the booth, and at that point the line ends. The line can't encroach on another booth, and that's a very severe issue. Yeah, to the point where WizKids, who make Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, absolutely huge company, one year were banned from GenCon for a year because their line went over into another person's booth for a little while. So they're very strict on that. Basically, the line will go around the booth most likely, or perhaps if they're clever and they've managed to wrangle a bit more space, the line will sort of move down into an open space or something. But at some point, that line will end. And at that point, you have to, like, if you're not in that line, you have to, like, hover around the back of the line, but not make it look like you're just making a new line to join the line. And it gets a little bit messy, apparently.
It depends on, I mean, some, like, Fantasy Flight games in past years, you know, they've had Sav actually control the line. They've given out, like, numbers. You come back at a certain time for your groups. So, I imagine, you know, things even change over the 4 days, right? Like FFG, sometimes that first day is a total cluster, and then it gets better by day 4. less people doing it. They learn how to do it better. But there are fire marshals plus the booth staff. There's a whole bunch going on. So yeah, if we don't even know what's gonna be. I mean, maybe some of you guys know. I have no idea what they're actually bringing and what it's going to be like to get stuff, the product.
Eric knows.
So,
Eric knows.
But
Eric knows everything.
we'll see. We'll have to see like even what that looks like, or how long it's going to take to get in, that kind of stuff. So
Yes, of course. All of that is assuming that there is going to be. I mean, no, we know there is product for sale. Actually.
Sure.
We know that. But this is assuming that there is going to be, readily product and we could be able to get it. Yeah. Something like a ticket system, I think, could work with something like this, and I imagine it's going to be heavily allocated. I imagine you'll be like, you can all buy a gift box or something like that.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's much more than that, honestly. But who knows?
usually per day, they limit it per day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know they're only accepting electronic payments.
Oh yeah, that's a good point,
to know.
actually. That's a really good point because I normally take cash.
Here's another tip, but I said this on our podcast. Make sure to let your bank know that you're going to Indianapolis and you'll be spending money on your credit card. Because one year my credit card got turned off, which is very frustrating.
Okay, good to
So
know.
you could do like a little thing with your credit card to tell them you're going out of town. And then even the vendors there, if they bring their own card reader, it might say Alaska. It might ring back to their home territory, which makes it really hard for your bank. So make sure you let your bank know.
Good call.
Yeah, that is
if you're from Canada, make sure it works at all. Because first time I went down to the States with a Canadian credit card, it just didn't even.
Oh wow,
that's disappointing.
Yeah. It was. To be fair, your credit rating does not follow you when you emigrate. So it was like Fisher Price, like baby's first credit cards. So that might have been the reason.
It obviously wasn't a MasterCard.
No, it was like I say, it was one of these like secured things that I had to have for 6 months to prove that I wasn't terrible.
So yeah,
I went from no credit to 700 credit on one of those things.
There you go.
So before we do wrap up Gen Con, I know Blake is going to be unfortunately not be able to join us for the convention. But I know he's doing online stuff. So, Blake, do you want to just talk about what people can look for online, whether it be Lorcana related or not?
Unfortunately, there is nothing Lorcana related. The most Lorcana related thing you can find is hanging out with me on the Lorcana HQ Discord as we sit around like children in a Dickens novel, just being like, "Oh, look at the fun they're having." But there are some fun online seminars and panels that you can watch for free. A few of the ones that just caught my eye, if you're interested in like filmmaking or anything like that, there's a bunch of panels on Saturday, I believe, that just go through all these different parts of filmmaking and just hour-long classes, just people talking about these subjects and just learning new things. And there are some paid ones that are like miniature painting classes and stuff like that. There's a lot of neat things that you can sign up for. But to get Gen Con online, all you just need to do is just give your email and some other minor information, and you have access to all of that to check it all out. So
awesome. Well, for those
on that same note, like if you're not able to attend Gen Con, make sure that you are following us and all of the other content creators that have been on this show on all of their socials, because there's gonna be impromptu live streams. We're gonna see something cool and we're gonna want to send it to y'all. So definitely make sure that you're following everybody.
Yeah.
The gamers get something exciting the first morning of Gen Con.
Before 6 o'clock. What
It'll be
time?
early.
Before 6 o'clock Eastern?
No, it'll be whenever the doors open. It'll be like an hour before that or something like that.
So
right when the event starts, perfect.
Yeah, right.
You need someone to bring your camera bags into the convention center. I volunteer.
Normally in the past years, you couldn't get in until like 5 a.m. That was the earliest you could get in the past years I've been there. So about 5 a.m.
I do want to bring up
yourself isn't there till the weekend, right? Is that what you said?
Hmm?
Are you there the whole
Eric,
time?
you said you were there at the weekend, right?
Me, I'll just be there Saturday, and then I'm going to Japan.
Oh,
Pokemon
Pokemon?
Worlds.
For Pokemon, yeah.
wow.
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
Just a quick question that Jacob asked from Ready Set Draw: is there good Wi-Fi in the convention hall? How is that?
I mean, there's 50,000 people, so like it's
Oh no.
the past years. No, it's I mean it's very consistent. Your carrier, your cellular data is gonna come and go. So no, it's not great unless you bring your own. People have brought their own like hotspots, which is one way to get around that, but it's not very good.
All right.
If you're at a downtown hotel, because there's a number of hotels connected, you can use your hotel Wi-Fi pretty well. So, but that I don't know if you guys have downtown. I will also add on just for you guys if you want to find a place to play board games, because it's really hard actually to find a space to like play and chill, play board games. The JW Marriott, which is a connected hotel, has a ballroom where it's free board game space. So if you guys want to go find a place to like sit down and chill, it's wonderful. It's like I thought it was 24 hours. If it's not 24 hours, it's really late at night. It's really you could go up there, find people to play board games, or just find a table yourself. So.
And when you say connected hotels, like literally connected, right?
Yeah,
There's like 4 hotels.
There's 4 hotels that are actually connected to the convention center. Yep.
Awesome.
I'm in
There's
one
a
of
lot.
them, but I don't know which one.
Yeah, so are we.
There's a lot more than 4, but they're just not directly connected.
Well, and like
Yeah,
in that
Some
JW
other
Marriott,
hotels
yeah,
and-
in that JW
Yeah.
Marriott one, there's I believe 4 or 5 different hotels connected, all
Yes.
together.
That's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
So you guys might.
We're somewhere in there, yeah.
My understanding is you could get your hotel internet in the convention center in some parts of it at least because they're that close.
Awesome.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
When are we all getting there?
Wednesday. Yep. Late
I thought I
Wednesday.
meant like lining up.
That is what I
Well,
meant.
that is what you meant. Lining up. Ooh. Oh, Sean and I don't really have to line up.
I'm gonna go down at like 7 a.m. to hang out with everybody.
If
but me and
we can
Teddy
even
both
get
have
in
the-
there.
Yeah, me and Teddy both have the 9 a.m. Thursday morning event. So
Oh,
Me
okay.
too.
Yeah.
I'm on Thursday
Oh,
too.
there you
there we
go.
You're
Sugi,
dropping off
Liam.
rations.
Yeah, we'll bring the extra snacks. Yeah, so I think
I would encourage all you guys to go to the opening of the hall though. It's really fun. If you've never done it before, they do a whole show and they roll a die and then like they do all the rules and it it really is. And the 25 feet you have, it's just packed with people. So like just experiencing that like once, like the grand opening of the first day is really fun if you guys can make it down there.
They
Yeah.
like have to because like the instant the doors open is when their thing starts, right?
Yeah.
no, we start at 9. We start an hour
We
before.
start an hour before you guys
okay.
get to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like obviously depending on what there is availability and stuff, I'm just gonna do it on the Thursday. I'm just gonna do the whole lineup thing and try.
I
and
feel
get,
like
I don't really need to get any. I know this sounds with all allocation noise and everything. I know it's probably not great. This isn't a great look on me, but like I'm all right for product, right? Like I don't like I'm.
Feel free to line up for me then, Jonti.
Yeah.
But I will go and buy a gift set, like honestly purely it's for content, right? Like I'm gonna film
Right.
myself buying something at GenCon. Like that's what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
So I don't need to. Yeah, I'm not. So I'm gonna do it on the Thursday, and then after that, I've got about 15 other events booked in. We've got a few distributor things done because obviously I'm going as a employee of the store as well. Like we're going to be there doing stuff for the store. And then I've got to try and get good and drunk in that time as well, you know? Like, it's going to be a busy few days.
Some really good restaurants downtown. Some really good food. Yeah.
Yeah, we're booked into an Italian that is like really great. Apparently, it's my boss described it as it's the second best rated on Yelp, but it's not as expensive as the one that's top rated. I'm like, that sounds good to me. And then the big sort of community meetup is the Thursday evening?
Thursday night, yeah.
We should
Jared
probably mention that.
Jared was able to secure a room for us, which is amazing. I know we've been talking about it, just like we had different ideas and we want to do this because we didn't have like a set place, but we do have a room. If you are in the Lorcana HQ Discord, that is there. The room number is on it. It's gonna start around 6 o'clock, I believe, and it's just gonna run throughout the night. Oh, did we move it back an hour?
7 to 11.
Oh, I don't know what I'm saying then. I feel like I heard something different and changed. Anyways,
And that's
Might have.
it's basically just like a space, and we can alter. I
we
think
can all hang out.
to be honest with you, trying to organize anything more complicated, I think, is futile. I think
Yeah.
just saying here and when, and then we'll just hang out
People
and
show up.
play.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
hang out, meet everyone. I know.
Snap some pictures, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, does anyone else have any closing thoughts? I know we've talked about a lot tonight. It's been a great night. For the ones that aren't here, that joined us earlier, that were able to talk, the ones that are still here, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining. Blake, I feel like you have something to say. I feel like that was a little.
I just remembered there's one other session. Liam and Aaron, if you're still watching or if you watch this later, on Sunday, there's actually an online panel about naming kids.
Oh wow!
That's awesome. That is really funny.
But it's all about like naming kids and also like naming your characters for fantasy things and stuff like that. But
Same thing,
I
right?
think it might be useful for you.
That's great. I've told him Lorcana works for a girl or a boy. Like it's
Lori,
Lorcan.
Ooh, Lori.
Lorcan,
it's all good.
Lori.
Lonnie Lorcan.
Lonnie Lorcan, Lonnie Lorcan Cosma. All right. Well,
I was gonna say I have nothing much else to say. The only thing I will say is that, like, this has obviously been a really big week. Full reveal. We're there now. This still hasn't we are still in the early adoption bubble.
Mhm.
Like that bubble has not popped. It is bursting at the seams, and things like Lorcana Week at the Gamer really sort of spreading that even wider. But like they're coming, right? The Disney adults, the collectors, the scalpers,
Yep.
they're all right at the door, and like it's gonna be GenCon is gonna be crazy, and after that is gonna be crazy. So I just want us all to remember these more simple times.
And form an alliance. It's us versus them,
Yeah.
Jonti.
Yeah, right. But it's been awesome. It's been such a rush. What a year. Well, it's not even. It's felt like a year,
it's
but it hasn't
it's
even been a year.
felt like 10
Yeah,
years.
getting there.
Each month
Yeah.
has felt like a year.
It's been a long road for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, if anybody wants to
go ahead,
I
Eric.
cut you up again, if anybody wants to just hop on the Gamer and just kind of click around for a while, that would be great.
Shameless
I'll
plug.
go and-
Shameless plug.
I'll go and read everything that I've already read once, of course.
So, yeah.
I will
Yeah,
have
we're
every
gonna
single
figure
word
out
of every single article memorized for next week.
I do need to read that Magic Mirror one again. I did like that.
That was really good fun.
That one is very fun.
My-
That one's very funny.
as much as like all the cool like concrete reveals have been, like my favorite stuff has been that more sort of like fluffy stuff, really. You
Yeah.
know, like the Magic Mirror one and the Merlin one was really great, and the Hidden Mickeys was really
that's
good fun. Even though I disagree with some of them.
Oh, thank you. I mean, obviously, the really big reveal was yesterday, and we've got stuff for 4 more days. Tomorrow's like big anchor thing is a Steve Warner interview.
Oh.
Oh, good. That's really good because
Nice.
he's been a little quieter recently.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so that's what we're gonna kick off tomorrow with, and we've got a bunch of fun stuff like the Magic Mirror stuff.
Awesome.
and-
I think he's quite comfortable letting Ryan take the spotlight. Like I feel like that dynamic works well for them, and they're both
Yeah.
happy there. But it's still very much nice to hear from him, right? Like, so yeah, that's cool.
Totally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say, Eric, thank you for curating Lorcana Week, for making all of this. Jonti for creating wonderful content over at the Inkwell, the newly dubbed Inkwell. Chris for amazing podcasts with Lorcanacast. And obviously the Glimmer Gang. If you guys aren't following the Glimmer Gang, we are active on Twitter, Instagram. I'll be running those at GenCon. I know Sean and Sneaky are going to be posting lots of shorts, lots of interviews for GenCon, so go follow us on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. And then I will be creating a long-form documentary style video for GenCon for us, so make sure you guys are following us on YouTube for that. But I want to thank you for everyone who joined, for everyone for watching, and Glimmer on.